Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Micah Let's Play, and guess who I am? I'm Micah, because who else would I be? Guys, I'm so excited. Today we're going to be talking about the Resident Evil Showcase from Capcom, shared with us on January 21st. Oh my glob, I can't wait to get started. But you know how Micah gets down. I made an intro specifically for you. Enjoy!
Now loading Micah's Let's Play.
I know. I'm just too good to you. Okay guys, so how we're going to break this video down is that I'm going to talk a little bit about the Resident Evil story, the sigils of the new houses that we've discovered. We're also going to talk about some theories that I have, and we're going to talk about RE-verse as well as Infinite Darkness. So, let's get started. So first, let's talk about the Resident Evil 8 story. Here's what we know so far. Ethan and Mia have settled down and they now have a daughter, baby Rose, and we're under the protection of the BSAA, the organization that Chris Redfield is supposed to be the captain of. And we all know Chris murders Mia, kidnaps Ethan, and steals his daughter, and whisks him away off to Eastern Europe. As I said before, I don't really think that Ethan and Mia were in the United States. I believe that they were somewhere already in Europe where this all takes place. But we'll talk about my theories later. Next, I want to talk about the 4 family crests, or sigils as I like to call them, that represents the 4 houses within Resident Evil Village. And the 4 sigils, or 4 crests, belong to House Dimitrescu, House Heisenberg, House Moreau, and House Benevietto. So these 4 houses have these amazing sigils, as you can see on screen, and I'll touch on why I think they're so significant as I get into my theories of the video. What I think we're also going to discover is some origins of the Umbrella Corporation and why I think Ethan as well as Baby Rose are so important. The other thing I want to also talk about is Chris Redfield. Chris Redfield, we know, has been the Boy Scout of the RE universe since its inception. But the question is what made him turn dark or made him turn feral? So when you think about it, Chris has a reason for why he kidnaps Ethan as well as Baby Rose and why he offs Mia. So the question is, what is Chris's plan? What does he have up his sleeve for the Winter family? Now, if you remember in the trailer that we got to see my new wife, who's my favorite character so far, Lady Dimitrescu, talking on the phone with the matriarch, Mother Miranda. Now, I'm curious, is Mother Miranda the matriarch of the Dimitrescu household or one of the other houses? That's something I'll talk about a little bit more later. But from there, she actually talks about how Ethan escaped Heisenberg, who she also calls her little brother. Goes to show that these houses are somehow tied together in some kind of way. But the question is, how are they tied together and why are these houses so significant? What I want to touch on next is the symbol of House Dimitrescu. Now, a lot of you might just see it and may just think like it looks like a flower, but yeah, it's exactly what it looks like. It's a flower. But you know what it got me thinking about? RE5's Stairway to the Sun that Chris Redfield and Shiva Alamar discovered in their investigation. So I'm wondering, is this flower representation of the original Umbrella Corporation, or maybe is this a far older Umbrella Corporation, maybe before the Spencer Mansion and all that going on? So that's what I'm wondering, why this family sigil is so important, because if you look throughout the trailer, the sigil is literally everywhere. It's on doors, it's on coffin, hell, it's even on Lady Dimitrescu as a necklace. Again, these sigils are incredibly important. Another thing that got me thinking about this is that with the Stairway to the Sun, it actually carried the progenitor virus, which later on turned into the Tyrant virus, the Golgotha virus, the Veronica virus, and the prototype virus. So I'm wondering, is this the original strand of the virus that these family has had for a while, which is why House Dimitrescu, they seem to have vampiric type abilities, because if you look at Lady Dimitrescu in the original trailer, she's drinking from Ethan's wrist, and if you remember in the showcase trailer, Lady Dimitrescu's 3 daughters all are toying with Ethan And one of them even says the line of, man's blood. So this is very important with this house. And then also, if you played the demo of Resident Evil 8, if you look at the notes, the wine that the Dimitrescu household is known for has maiden's blood within it. So again, it gets you to think what's going on with the Dimitrescu household. Why is blood so significant with this particular household? The next one is the Heisenberg household. Now, House Heisenberg, I think, is associated with the werewolves, because after you hear Lady Dimitrescu call Heisenberg her full brother, we get to see the guy who has the Van Helsing appearance running around or walking towards Ethan saying, "Ethan Winters, let's see what you're made of." And it seems like he's some type of telekinetic, because he's able to move things with his mind. But the only other character who matches or who somewhat resembles his appearance is the giant Sasquatch with the massive hammer that Ethan is fighting in this section of the video here. It gives me credence to believe that somehow the Heisenberg household is tied in with the werewolf. Now, the only thing I don't understand is, why is it a horseshoe that's a symbol of the house? Maybe they was very heavily tied in with blacksmiths. Not really sure. The only reason why I'm even saying blacksmiths is because of Heisenberg holding that massive hammer. And again, I don't know if that actually is Heisenberg. This is just what I'm assuming based on the information that's available to me. Now, for House Moreau and House Beneviento, only thing I can say is that House Moreau has a mermaid and House Beneviento actually has a sigil of the moon and the sun. Now, in past Resident Evil games, these symbols have always been very important to the Resident Evil franchise. So that's why I believe that these sigils are tied in with an origin story for the Umbrella Corporation, because even the House Dimitrescu sigil actually kind of looks like the Umbrella symbol. That's what I'm thinking that might be, but I could be totally wrong. But we'll just have to learn when the game finally comes out. But again, those are my thoughts on that. Now, let's go back to Ethan himself. So as we all seen in the trailer, Ethan has his run-in with the Dimitrescu girls. He even runs into who we all kind of believe is Heisenberg. But what I want to talk about next, Ethan's run-in with the new merchant, which is known as the Duke. One of the developers, Peter Fabiano, says the Duke is basically, he has the same job as the original merchant in Resident Evil 4, where you have the attaché case, where you get to play Tetris with your weapons and healing items and all that fun stuff. You even have an ammo crafting system, even with your weapons, which is really cool. And for those of you who have like eagle eyes, you'll notice in the upper left hand corner of the screen, you see a thing that says find Rose in the castle. So that looks like a mission objective. So for that caught my eye. So I'm like, oh, so we'll have mission objectives as we're going throughout the village as well as the castle. And another thing that I do want to also touch on is a lot of the RE4 tie-ins with this game. What I'm wondering is Salazar in Resident Evil 4, is he somehow tied into this household of Dimitrescu and all the other households that we see there? Because if you notice the castle of the Dimitrescu household, there are similar architectural designs as the Salazar mansion in RE4, as well as there's a merchant, and there's so many other callbacks to RE4 within this game. I'm wondering, because it's also in Europe, is there a reason that there are so many tie-ins? Is there a story significance to why it's so heavily tied into RE4? But again, we don't know until the game comes out. The other thing I want to mention is the new combat that I noticed, or should I say a return to a combat system. Because if you notice, Ethan, when he's fighting these new enemy types, and I'll touch on them in just a second, Ethan is able to block, not only block, but also knock the enemies back with a punch as well as a kick. Now we know in RE4, that's when the roundhouse kick was introduced. So again, that's a callback to RE4. But also what I notice is that when Ethan shoots these enemy types, they actually drop their weapons. If you pay close attention, there's an icon that shows you that you can pick up that weapon. So I'm wondering, can Ethan use medieval weapons to fight off enemies? I think that's going to be very interesting when we play the game, because Peter did say different enemy types require different strategies on how you combat them. So again, I'm very excited about the type of combat we're going to get in the game. And with the fact you're having shambling, blind looking zombies or vampire type creatures, then you have the more fast paced and more dangerous werewolves running around. And then you have, the lovely Dimitrescu girls chasing you throughout the mansion. It goes to show that combat is going to be using your brain. Fighting your enemy is going to be very, very important. Not to mention, they have returning red barrels, which again, it's basically going to be a wonderful crowd control maneuver. So I'm excited to see how we're going to have to strategize when fighting our enemies. Okay, guys, another thing that I do want to touch on within the showcase that we got, in addition to that, are the new enemy type. So as I said in my analysis breakdown of the trailer, that we have vampires, werewolves, witches, which I think Lady Miranda might be a witch. But then again, those new enemies that you get to see in the cave look somewhat like zombies, or they could be vampire-ish type creatures because they do have fangs. And again, I really don't know, but I'm really liking the type of enemies that we're getting because, this is very different. This series started with zombies and now have gone into a whole different type of monster archetypes within this series. So I'm excited to see what mysteries will be able to unfold to why these new creatures are in this new game. And what I also want to know, are these new creatures going to be tied into these 4 sigils, and will the 4 family crests, will each one of them have a specific enemy type that ties in with that household? Another thing I want to talk about is the infant that you get to see right here, this young lady holding, and then you see this symbol of this mutated fetus with the wings around it. So again, going back to the ceremony that Mother Miranda and Lady Dimitrescu were talking about, why is this so important to this organization? Why is infants so important? And then it makes me think about the remake of RE2, because if you read the documents within RE2, it seems like there was some type of experimentation on children within the Raccoon City orphanage. But then again, it makes you think about, Evelyn from RE7. So again, for some reason, children seem to be very important to the umbrella or the connections within the Resident Evil universe. And again, why is this fetus so important, and why is Rose so important to this organization? Again, I think it goes back to the fact that Ethan and Mia were both infected by Evelyn, and what is lingering in their blood is now inside Rose, and we have to, I don't know, maybe we have to cure Rose, or maybe Rose is a way to stabilize their condition. I have no idea, but I'm really excited to find out what's going to happen. Now, some of the last things I want to talk about with Resident Evil Village is the location. I think the location of Resident Evil 8 looks absolutely fantastic. The castle, the village, everything is so cinematic. Everything looks so beautiful. And again, if you played the demo called The Maiden, there is just so many beautiful things you get to see, even though it's a dangerous, decrepit dungeon, but it looks fantastic. And if you played it, you hear all those creepy atmospheric sound effects happening around you. So just know we're in for a good time with playing Resident Evil 8. So now I want to switch gears and I want to talk a little bit about Resident Evil Reverse. What it looks like, this looks like it's a player versus player type of combat system where you get to fight with some of your favorite characters from the franchise. It looked like it's really fun. I believe there's a beta that's already out that people are playtesting. I don't have my hands on it, unfortunately, because I do not own my PS5 yet. It's still coming. I'm still waiting. Hopefully it'll be here soon. So looks like when you order the game, this actually comes with Resident Evil 8, the RE-verse. So I'm excited to try it out. It looks like it's going to be a lot of fun, and the fact that I get to play with Claire Redfield and run around the RPD and shoot people, I think it's going to be a good time. So it looks like a lot of fun, and I cannot wait to try it out for myself. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is Resident Evil Infinite Darkness, starring Leon S. Kennedy and the incredible Claire Redfield. Now, at the end of the Resident Evil showcase, we got a little snippet of information for the Resident Evil Infinite Darkness series that's going to appear on Netflix this year, but sometime later. The developer mentioned that this story is going to be taking place a few years after Resident Evil 4. Now, if you remember in my past video when I spoke about Resident Evil Infinite Darkness, I said I think it's somewhere within the timeline, somewhere after 4, before Revelations 1 and 2. So if that's the case, that means it's somewhere around the timeline of Resident Evil Degeneration. So if that's the case, then that's actually pretty cool, and I can't wait to see this story unfold, because this year is an exciting year to be a Resident Evil fan, and I cannot wait to learn more about this amazing series that I'm super hyped for. What I want to ask you guys is, what do you guys think about the Resident Evil showcase? Did you like it? Were you excited about everything? Did you hate everything? I would love to know your thoughts and feelings down below. And for everyone who's been leaving comments on my most recent videos, on the one I did with my brother Matthew for the Resident Evil movie, as well as my most recent theory videos, I want to say thank you so much for leaving me likes, comments, for subscribing to my channel. We are well on our way to 200 subs, and I cannot wait to see what happens at the end of the year 2021 and see where this channel goes. Again, this has been a fun and exciting ride, and I just want to say again, thank you for making this all happen, because without you, I have no channel. With that said, if you enjoyed any of this content, do me a favor by considering liking this video, subscribing to my channel, leaving me a comment in the comment section down below. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you're always notified when I'm uploading videos just for you, my pretty. Then remember the golden rules of washing your hands, wearing gloves, wearing masks, practicing social distance, and all that jazz. Don't forget to give everyone love and respect. Remember, all Black Lives Matter. I'm gonna see you on the flip side, so bye!